What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Now this is a video that I really didn't plan on making, but this is kind of the reason why we haven't done a video on the review of the turbo diesel Jeep yet. Now after we got done with everything, we drove it for about a week just to make sure everything was working right, and you know, Lord behold, we have a problem with it. Our ETC light's on right now, or our electronic throttle control light, and basically what that means is we got a problem somewhere in the intake. Now from the codes we've gotten, and then also going through and just listening to it, it sounds like there's a wild chipmunk under the hood of this thing. I mean, you hear a bunch of scratching and sounds like that, and getting a closer look at it, we found that our turbo, variable geometry turbo actuator motor has gone bad on us. Now our turbo actuator motor on this Jeep is for the variable geometry turbo. Now, as you guys probably know, variable geometry turbos have vanes inside of them that adjust to make the turbo larger and smaller to help get optimal boost when in low RPM and then high RPM. You know, the 5.9 Cummins trucks doesn't have that, which is kind of one of the reasons people like, is because it's a little bit more simple, reliable design, the old school turbo setup. But we have a variable geometry on this one, so that's just what we got to deal with. So right now, this thing is actually in lit mode, so it's so bad the Jeep automatically put itself into lit mode. So I mean, if I nailed the throttle right now, that's to the floor, and this thing is barely climbing. So this thing is not up to its healthy 100% standard, and it definitely needs to be addressed. So with that all due is said, let's get this thing out of lit mode so we can see what this thing will do, and let's get started. Okay guys, so what you just heard is that actuator we were talking about, or the wild chipmunks under the hood. So basically all the clicking you're hearing is the gears inside of it trying to turn to move the variable geometry vanes. Now those gears are stripped off, that's what we suspect, and that's why you're hearing that. So I guess with that said, we're going to go into it and we're going to replace it. So you can see the actuator right there. The good thing is we don't have to take a bunch of stuff out of this thing to get to it. I mean, we can leave this intake tube here. We're probably going to take off that heat shield on the exhaust side of the turbo. And then there should be about, I think, 3 bolts behind there, then the linkage, and then a connector. And that'll be it. So the turbo does not have to come out, thankfully. Okay guys, so we ran into another little problem. It's kind of extremely hard to get to the clip, but we did get to it, and we actually kind of popped it off and it fell somewhere into the engine, so that's going to be kind of fun finding that. And there it is. Okay guys, and just like that, we got them out. Now here to my right is the new part we're putting in, and then here to the left is our old one. Now you can see right here our old one, look how freely that moves. Now look at this new one. I mean, that sucker's solid on this one, and this one's just trashed. You can tell it's trashed on the inside. So now with all that said, you can also see some other markings that identifies this one as a superior unit. Now this one right here, you can see it's got the Garrett Hella logos on it. And then this one right here, you can see, I mean, there's nothing really on this actuator at all. Also, this Garrett Hella is an OEM Mercedes part. This one over here, since it has no markings on it of any kind, and you can just tell the construction quality of it's just not as good, what we're thinking is this has actually been replaced before. Now, a reason for that is because these actuators are actually known to go bad when the turbo likes to coke up from the crankcase ventilation system on these Jeeps, or engines in general, as far as Sprinters and everything else they put them in. So with that said, since we've got our EGR and our crankcase ventilation systems rerouted, as you could say, we're not going to have that anymore. So our intake's going to be 100% clean. So the best thing to do is to go back with a nice OEM part with its OEM quality. Another tip that you want to look for when shopping for one of these OEM quality actuators is the number right there in the middle, the G-001. Now what that means is that's what the gear ratio or the gear setup inside this actuator is. Now depending on if you have a Sprinter van, a Mercedes car, a Mercedes SUV, or a Jeep Grand Cherokee, it'll decide what number that's supposed to be. Okay guys, so as you can see right there, we took our old actuator apart, and you can see right there where that worm gear is not even making contact with the gears on the actual actuator linkage. So right there, if you move it back and forth, you can see right there that it's not moving. That's not supposed to be like that. Okay guys, another thing I want to note is, or another sign to look for when going into this, is we saw that we were missing actually a bolt on this actuator. So we have the top, middle, and bottom, and the middle one was missing. So also, it being a Chinese aftermarket unit, or cheap one that is, it also was missing hardware. So that's another sign that we can tell it's been into. Plus that, just to make sure we don't lose any in the future, we're going to go back with some blue Loctite, just to make sure we keep everything in there nice and tight. Okay guys, so now I'm going to show you the codes that we got for that actuator going bad. You don't really need anything too fancy. This is just your basic Walmart code scanner. I think it was only like $20 or $30, not much at all. So we're going to plug that thing in and see what codes we have. So right there you can see we have a P0299 code, and that's a turbocharger under boost code. Now after further research, we looked it up online and we found that, you know, that's part of the problem, or the part of the code you get when that actuator goes bad. We also have 4 more codes in here. One is a P0676 code. This says cylinder 6 glow plug. Not really sure why that one's on, because we did replace all the glow plugs in this thing when we went through and did everything. I think maybe that one might just be a code coming up from the actuator possibly, but we're not sure. We'll clear it and then keep an eye on that one. And then the 2 other codes are just repeats of the codes we have. So let's go ahead and go through and clear those. So we got the green light, we're good to go. We should be good to go as far as getting this thing out of limp mode and getting this thing back to its full 100% power. Okay guys, with our codes cleared and this thing out of limp mode and back together, this thing's running awesome. That's going to be it for today's video. You're going to want to stick around though, because the review on this thing's coming, and this thing is quick. But with all that said, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys on the next